Investigations Aaron Washington, Louisiana State Police Investigator Scott Rodrigue on the far right, and Louisiana State Police Region 1 Public Information Officer Sergeant Kate Stiegel. The DA's office was tasked with assessing the facts and evidence surrounding the commission of violent and horrendous crimes against children and determining the appropriate vehicle to institute charges against an accused child predator. I brought you all here this afternoon to announce that earlier today we presented the facts and evidence to an Orleans Parish grand jury who returned a true bill indictment against former Catholic priest Lawrence Hecker for the following crimes: aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated crime against nature, and theft. We've had to fight very vigorously through the courts and behind the scenes for disclosure of any and all information and evidence. And it wasn't easy for us. It certainly wasn't easy for Scott of a crime simply due to the reputation of the subject in question. Historically, these matters have gone uninvestigated or reached multiple dead ends due to the cone of silence and protection too often afforded to those who were wrongly placed in positions of trust and confidence. The physical, emotional, and mental harm of sexual abuse lasts a lifetime. Many survivors I know have felt hopeless. I've heard from them and have been irreparably harmed by the acts of Lawrence Hecker. The innocence and youth stolen from multiple children who revered and respected Hecker as a protector cannot be regained. And I want to say to any person who has suffered at the hands of Hecker that it was a zealous and brave group of survivors who were desperate to be heard and receive justice for their injuries, who refused to watch their trauma be buried under that shroud of secrecy, and they fought back in every way that was available to them. We are proud to say that we heard those survivors and their families loud and clear. And their tenacity and their bravery was key in our ability to prepare and present this cold case to a grand jury. The grand jury's determination is a significant step, albeit it's just the first step in the ultimate pursuit of justice. However, I want to be very loud and clear. We are ready for the fight to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt in this case and send a far-reaching missive that anyone conspiring to cover up hurting children and hiding behind a veil of an institution will be found and found out and will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Thank you, Scott, for being laser focused on this throughout this process. Thank you to Colonel Davis and all of the Louisiana State Police for your help in this tough case. I want to give special thanks to the First Assistant, Ned McGowan, for his meticulous preparation of a very, very sensitive and very, very complex case. This is not your average case. In addition to absolutely harrowing subject matter and evidence, we have survivors across the nation and the globe who place their faith in this office to do what many have failed to do. Ned, you accepted this challenge and you sacrificed to put this case on yourself in front of this grand jury, and I could not be more pleased at the outcome of that hard work. Thank you, Ned, for bird dogging this case and seeing it all the way through. Ned.
So thank you, DA Williams. Justice has been delayed and denied to the victims of Lawrence Hecker for decades. He was hidden in plain sight. He was moved from assignment to assignment, and he was put in contact with unwitting victims over and over again. And today is the first step to imposing accountability for those crimes. I want to thank the victims and witnesses who through their bravery and resilience across the years were able to still come forward and tell their story and provide information and testimony in support of this prosecution. I also want to thank Investigator Scott Rodrigue, who left no stone unturned. He, through his professionalism and diligence and hard work, put together a detailed investigation that we were able to provide to the grand jury today, and they returned their indictment. And I also want to thank the DA for allowing me the opportunity to take this case from its first step today through its final one, which will be a conviction of Lawrence Hecker and a jail sentence for his crimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. We now must immediately begin the work of preparing this matter for success at trial. In the days ahead, every resource at our disposal will be exhausted to bring Lawrence Hecker to justice. He should have been prosecuted a long time ago. We will keep the public posted with updates that we're at liberty to share. There's certain things we absolutely cannot and will not talk about because we do not want to put this conviction and this prosecution in jeopardy. And we must always respect the wishes and be cognizant of the potential re-traumatization and new harm that survivors could feel as we go through this process. Thank you again for being here, Keith. Let's try to answer any questions that we can.
We'll open the floor for on-topic questions. Start with Lauren.
So back in the 1970s, we understand that the victim reported it to his high school. Is there anything you can say about whether there was anything offered to him to not take his report any further beyond his high school and beyond the church?
I can tell you that we're talking about a priest, and we're talking about a church, and we're talking about a school, and I can say that it is really hard for a child or any survivor of sexual assault to share it with anyone. The shame that surrounds what happened to them makes it hard. So often people don't even tell, right? So the fact that a child went to an adult, told them what happened, and nothing happened is a sin and a shame. And we're going to do everything we can in our power in 2023, many years after this prosecution should have been brought, to try to find some sense of closure for this victim.
We'll move together.
Is Mr. Hecker in custody yet, or has any arrangement been made for him to be arrested?
I hope he's arrested before you all get back in your cars. We're going to expedite this prosecution because I don't want him to die before we get a chance to prosecute
Is
him.
there any kind of agreement for surrender, or has that been worked out?
That has not been worked out.
Got it from TV.
I'm curious, Dave Jason Williams, you talked about how difficult this case is, how it's been buried, how, it's been put in front of different courts, and you guys finally took it. Why?
I mean, that's our job. I mean, simply put, that is why we're here. I don't think we had a choice but to follow the evidence and present the evidence. This is the right thing to do. I will say to you that, as I said earlier, this man should have been prosecuted a long time ago, and he should be well into serving his sentence for these crimes.
Two questions, and thank you for addressing this topic today. I think this is something we all follow closely. What role did some of the interviews that some of the people in this room did play a role in this? And also talk about if Hecker was hidden in plain sight, does the Archdiocese play a role in this at all? Could they have done more? Were they negligent?
I will tell you, there's some really good civil lawyers who are pursuing this matter in other courts. I can tell you that the role of the press was essential in this case. There are civil lawyers who are fighting this for a very long time, and there's members of the press who pushed this issue very, very hard. And I can tell you that more so than this office appreciating it, and we do, some of you might even see some of your coverage in court as evidence. I know that these survivors owe the press a great deal of thanks for keeping this fire burning when a lot of other people were trying to put it out.
Do you feel, D.A. Williams, that the Archdiocese could have done more?
I think a whole lot of adults should have done a whole lot more to protect children from Lawrence Hecker.
The fact that he was on camera last month saying that he did have sex with underage boys in the 1960s and 70s, can that be used in this particular case where he has denied that he did these specific actions?
We're going to use every single word that has ever been uttered by Mr. Hecker against him, as we should.
And could you explain the theft charge, please?
I don't want to get into the details of the case in terms of what we have to prove. I want to make sure we can prove it to 12 people, not to 12 journalists, sad to say.
But we know that certain charges, like the aggravated rape and aggravated kidnapping, do not have a statute of limitations attached to them, but the other two, aggravated crime against nature and theft, do.
I can tell you.
It would have taken place recently for it to.
I'll promise you that the first assistant was very diligent in looking at all of the obstacles, and there were many, to bringing a case this old. This is not easy. Ned did an amazing job with this, and the one thing I'm not going to do is derail it at a press conference. I'm going to make sure we get this man behind bars.
Thank you, David. Moving on to Ashton.
Yeah, so are you prepared to face a multitude of other cases as people now feel that they may be able to come forward, given that before justice was denied, but finally we're finally seeing some sort of resolution?
You know, I mean, we're not at a shortage of work here in Orleans Parish, here at the Orleans Parish DA's office. Lord knows, state police, they don't have enough manpower and woman power across the whole state. So we all got a lot to do, but truth of the matter is we got to follow the evidence. And we all took an oath to follow that evidence. And so if other cases present themselves, we're going to do what we have to do.
And we'll take our final question from Rick.
I have a quick one first, and a second one after. But the indictments were made today, correct? Perfect. And I got a statement from the Archdiocese today that said that the Archdiocese reported Lawrence Hecker to law enforcement authorities in different jurisdictions multiple times since 2002. So I guess it's kind of similar to his question that how did it take, 21 years since that to finally get indictments on him? Was this just a long process, or was this something that was just kind of put off a little bit?
No comment. There are things that are difficult, and there are things that are uncomfortable, right? The DA's office, Louisiana State Police, we're in the difficult business. Every case we get is hard, right? So with regards to that, I'm not going to comment any further.
Thank you guys. That's all.
How many total victims do you estimate?
I got to listen to Keith. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you all very much.